even if it's delivered.
这个女的好漂亮这个脸仔是最帅的脸
which is completely irrational.
我加了
Very little control. So a quite important point that this video brings about is twofold. Number one is that the same action can lead to very, very different reactions in different people. So one person can actually, for just saying hello, could love you. Someone could actually hate you or could get really creeped out and so on. And therefore, this same action, the same input can have very different outputs in terms of reaction from people. And what you'll see, especially if you actually keep doing this and keep approaching people, women especially, I would advise on that mainly, on the younger side, then you'll see an extremely vast array of different reactions, and you've got to get your reference experience on that. And the more reference experience you get, the more you realize that there is a certain degree of randomness in this particular game. There's many things that you cannot control. Many times you cannot control, actually most of the times you cannot control the reaction you get from a girl or anyone in particular. You can get very positive reactions, you can get very negative reactions to the same input, to the same stimulus. You can get very, very different reactions, even if it's delivered in almost the same way, which is quite difficult, but you get very different reactions. And that's a fact of life. That's something that you learn by approaching women and talking to people, especially strangers, because when you speak to strangers, women especially, these are the best, because they're the most sensitive animal in the human species. Between the two, between men and women, are the most sensitive, the ones that are potentially more prone to be creeped out for nothing. That happens to men as well. It happened to me in particular, in a case of one guy actually went and said hello. I just extended my hand and he just completely creeped out. I think it happened in two occasions only, after many approaches I've done throughout my life. Only that I remember. The reaction was, I don't know you. So in the same thing as saying hello is normally received quite well, or with a certain degree of indifference, whatever. So this particular situation today about this two very polar opposite situations we have shows another thing, is to say, with age, normally we become more human. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's the experience that we get through age, because I've noticed this not only in women that at different ages, but also in men as well. Generally, talking to older people is far easier than talking to younger people, especially at the beginning. It's much easier to relating yourself to older people than it is to younger people in general. There's always exceptions to any rules, but this particular video of today is absolutely amazing. Absolutely love it, because it shows you two polar opposites. One, I mean, just asking for directions, going in the same direction. An older man over 60 is absolutely chuffed to have a normal. Actually, he engages in conversation instead of me trying to engage into conversation. And then, whereas the polar opposite is young women who actually don't want to speak to anyone. They're really, especially in the UK, this is what I found, especially in the UK, they don't want to speak to anyone. Not all the time, but the percentage is higher. and they give you no time of the day, and they can also respond in the way that you're going to see in this video, is to say, oh, you look a bit creepy, and all that, and that didn't actually happen only once. It will happen a number of times in Lincoln, in the UK. And also, I don't know, but also I think the environment really changes people as well. Say, for example, South Africa. Unfortunately, I didn't devise this method to record interactions at the point. But different countries have got very different reactions and different ways to relate to people. So, for example, here in the UK, we've got the problem of people being a bit closed, a bit scared of speaking to strangers and so on, and they're not very social. They haven't actually the social muscle very well developed. And what they tend to do, in order to, because we're social animals, we cannot do it otherwise. They get drunk very easily, because obviously they have to release certain things, certain emotions, certain ways of being, and also sexuality as well. So since they cannot do, I'm talking in general, obviously, there's always exception to the rules. More generally in the UK, what happens is that people are more closed off for, I don't know what reason exactly. And then you cannot actually do away from having the normal human interaction, and sexual interactions as well as romantic interactions are something that must be there in a human being, female or male. They must be there, otherwise you don't have a nice life. So what the English and the British resort to, because of that, I think, that's my diagnostic. Because of that closedness in culture, I've got to say it, that's me being Italian and being in many countries, in different countries. They resort to drinking, and at that point they're completely different. They're most friendly people, over friendly even. Whereas you go to another country like South Africa, where people are normally very friendly, you can speak to anyone, you can joke to anyone. If you try a joke here in the UK, it's a hit and miss. Whereas you try a joke in South Africa, it's actually almost certain hit, because people are very relaxed about interacting with one another. Whereas it's not something that happens here. And you get very, very different reactions, especially also depending on the cultural background. Say, for example, the reactions I got so far in China are quite similar to what we get here in the UK, but I've got the added advantages that I'm a foreigner. Obviously, I'll look at speaking Chinese, which is actually something interesting. But another thing I'd like to say is this thing about being a bit obtuse in a certain sense is so ingrained in certain people, is absolutely amazing. As you'll see in other videos when we make the videos in China, I don't know whether we're going to actually make any commentary in English, but in China what I found is that, and also with Chinese people here in the UK, Chinese women, when you see somebody who speaks your language, who's a foreigner, one of the very first thing that I would actually think is I should actually treat this guy or girl with respect and just listen a bit, because we're not talking about a tramp or somebody of no education. This guy or girl is very educated, therefore you want to, instinctively what I do, if somebody from another country speaks one of the languages as a second languages that I speak, then they get a certain degree of respect, because obviously they are very well read, they invest in themselves and so on. This thing about this prehensive bias, this predisposition to a certain situation, to certain human interactions, are so ingrained that even somebody who's actually showing great traits. One of them even speaking, I mean, the recipient being Chinese, a foreigner speaking to you in Chinese in a different country or even in China. I mean, they even shut that one down, which I cannot, I mean, from where I come from, I cannot understand. So this is one of the reasons why I've got a high degree of tolerance still. I mean, there's a bit of hurt in the ego. Not as high, but there is a bit, because this is why I carry on doing these things. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be completely shattered. But one of the reasons I've got so much reference experience about cold approaching in other countries. Say, for example, in China, I got it many times. Even if I'm there speaking almost fluent Chinese, and obviously I'm a foreigner, I do get shut down. Something that in my mind, doesn't really work. And this is the power of unconscious bias and bias in general, which is completely irrational, and I class it as a success barrier, because obviously if somebody who's that capable speaks to you, I wouldn't say you should treat him with respect, but obviously you should actually realise that, number one, it's not dangerous, it's extremely unlikely to be dangerous, and number two, you're talking to somebody who invest in themselves, and obviously they're not just a random beggar or anything, with all due respect for beggars. Well, not really. I'm not joking. I'm really not. Yeah, so that's the thing I'm trying to say is, boiling down again, this video is very important because it should actually show you, and if you carry on with this, do lots of cold approaches, especially with women, you'll realize that the same stimulus brings to extremely different reactions, extremely different. So you'll also realize that it's nothing done, mostly you're not in control of what I'm trying to say, in direct control of the output of that stimulus that you provide. Indirect control, yes, you've got indirect control, but you've got a huge amount. I mean, the way they react is completely random, and you've got very little control, direct control over it. You've got indirect control because then you can self-adjust if you want to adjust, and try something different if you want to try something different, if the situation allows you to try something different, and so on. So, and then you can influence the outcome, but you can never, that's one of the things that I should actually emphasize, there's no magic formula. If a woman is a no woman for you, you can try whatever you want. You can be the best, well-ripped, extremely intelligent guy, have all the game and the top game in the world, ain't gonna work. The extreme case of that is lesbians. So again, you've got to treat each interaction, letting go of that fact that you believe that reaction is very, very difficult to actually accept, because even after so many years of interacting with strangers on the street as well, it's still difficult to accept, but to a subconscious level, because it's subconscious, I mean, in my case, that's not accept it really, but so to a conscious level, that's very well accepted. As to say, whatever reaction you get, reaction good or bad, has got 70%, I'd say 70 to 80%, I'd say even 60 to 80%, 60 to 70%, due to yourself, and how you deliver things, and the other part is due to the other person. And that in cases of extreme bias, that percentage is even, the percentage which you can control is even lower. So if you've got somebody who's mentally ill, and you just go there and trying to strike conversation. Pretty much, wherever their mind wants to go, it will go, and therefore you've got very little influence over it. Whereas if you find somebody who's quite healthy mentally, and actually that's very important to actually emphasize it, mentally healthy, then you've got a better control, a better steering wheel to a certain extent to their emotion, the emotional response, and so on, because it's healthier. So you've got a better means of communication with the other person. So to wrap it up, although I thought today's outcome of the interactions was very, very poor, didn't actually open much, but I think that should actually draw the attention to two important points, which are, number one, you've got very little control, direct control over the reaction you get, and then every person reacts in very, 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 very different ways, extremely different ways to the same stimulus. And again, in this particular video, you'll see somebody who actually wasn't stimulated at all. I was asking for sheer directions. It started engaging in conversation, extremely friendly. Another one was a female, maybe 20s, I'm not sure. A complete different reaction, completely creeped out, and so on, by the same person. Amazing. I still find that amazing, but I think it's a very, very important lesson to take. So, with any further ado, watch this particular video. I think it's going to be interesting.
你在学广东话吗？
没有，看到美女就过来了。你好。
你说话说得好好啊。
你好。不行，吃过饭了不行。
吃过饭了，试一颗没关系啊。
这么大开这个了。
很好看呀。
好看，好。
山楂。
哦，刀子，但是不行，我试过啊。因为看到美女们没有其他的啊。
说的比我还标准。
哪里？买了蛋糕吗？好吃吗？上了啊，对了，对。慢慢走啊。慢慢走啊。
你中文那么好。
中文不行，一点点都不行。音乐词了啊，音乐词我都不会，但是我会玩微信的。等一下，加微信。可以。
加微信，你肯定是健身的，
不行哦，我微信也不好的。你看，代码放课啊。
不用，谢谢。哎，走了，这里是4楼啊。
啊，对呀，不要忘记你们去哪里啊？先去吗？下去了。你好。喂，好可爱，很小孩。哦，这个女的好漂亮啊！哦，是哦，当然了，这样漂亮啊！哦，你好，不怕了，她在这里啊，肯定啊，你看好漂亮啊！啊，你看那么厉害的老公啊！哦，就那么大哦！你好犀利人来啊！你看，我一直在看他，我觉得我要跟他一样的，就行了。你好犀利啊，靚仔啊！你好，靚女。有我的微信吗？啊，这个意大利的。对，意大利面的那种。对呀。这边什么人都有我的微信。哪里的靚女啊？你哪里的？
廣東的。
哦，你好犀利，靚女啊！靚女，我那麼喜歡吃廣東菜啊，廣東菜很好吃啊。對呀。可以了，慢慢來啊。 教练呢？今天好不好？啊，连仔太厉害了。连来你好犀利啊！这个连仔太帅了，太帅了！我看看他，最帅。或者你的脚。你好，靚仔，加油，靚仔，加油
Thank you, thank you.
加油，靚女，加油。
Thank you.
哦，你好犀利啊！你好，你好，靚女，靚仔，靚女，這個是最好的教練，教練最好。你看，就紅大，是我朋友。你好，靚女啊！你好犀利啊！男朋友好帅，唔係為什麼那麼帥啊？你耳機有冇倒？厲害。
不是 ，low。
我也不行。
low girlfriend low girl。
我也不行的，我什麼都不行。
你 strong， 你 strong。
我不行的。你很年輕的。
這個那麼。
這個嗎？他不喜歡的。
這個。
沒有，這是假的，這是帶真的。
你這個才是真的。
沒有，是帶真的，沒有。
你看還會動。
哎呦。加微信。
啊，你普通话说那么准的吗？
什么？
我说你普通话说那么准的吗？
我不会，普通話我不行，我什麼都不行。
那你白话是可以是嗎？
沒有，我也不行。
哎，你頭先咪講得好準咩？
我冇問題，不行的。
你喺邊度㗎？
意大利，我不會白話都不行。
我不會哦。
我不會白話都不行。
哦，這麼虛心啊！
你講我行，現在再講。你可以掃，也可以那個了啊。不是掃，不是那個了，這是掃的啊。慢慢掃。我家陽光意大利的啊。很浪漫的地方啊。小心意大利面，有可能有意大利面哪里？这是我好朋友，他肌肉很厉害的。No，太厉害了，这个男的真的很厉害。你好，靚女，你好，意大利的。意大利面。意大利的。哦，你好，靚女啊，你好犀利啊！加油！你好，靚女，加油！靚女加油！加油！剛剛锻鍊了。你好，靚女，加油！同性戀，我也是同性戀。
你想說想學？
他是同性戀。
他是同性戀對吧？
對呀。那就知道了。
我不知道，我同性戀特好。
这是什么工作呢？
啊？
这是什么工作？
卖房子的。
买房子，房地产。现在买房子怎么样？
还好啊。
好吗？是吧？
还好。
没有以前的好，你说？
只是外行人觉得的。
还可以是吧？没有什么区别。
有区别，但不要去像外面人说的那样。
哦。没关系。哎，我是做开鸭店的，没有了。做外卖，没有外贸。
外贸对吧？外贸。
对，这样微信呢，看起来有点有意思的。
可以啊，等会我先停下来。
对，慢慢来。
你是在这边？
我在这边住啊。就这里。
对这里熟吗？
什么意思？
我说你对番禺这边熟吗？哇，你还有一个中国名啊。
叫阳光啊。
阳光很好。阳光很好。
我朋友一个好朋友给我的名字。
哦。
对。那你？
我加了。你通过。
你有多少个孩子了你？有多少个孩子？
我有3个孩子了。
哦，你好犀利啊！你好犀利。
仲 OK 吧？
哎，你好犀利啊！你们好，意大利的靚仔啊！你好，靚女啊！靚女。這樣子。哪裡的靚女啊？
廣州。
哦，廣州啊。意大利麵吃過了嗎？意大利麵吃過了嗎？
吃過啊。
意大利麵。 可以啊。为什么在笑？不会严肃的那种。有笑了，看。
也是可以的。
哎呀，那你现在去哪里？
我回去。
好了，我们去喝咖啡，白月广场。
这么不喝了，回去了。
不是啊，也可以啊。坐下啦，放松一下啦。不要放松了，是吧？
好累啊，好累。
累了，困了，好牛啊！
你怎么中文这么好？
中文不行。
我说什么你都能听懂啊？
我什么都不懂。所以说，看一下你是哪里？你是哪一个？因为我加了几个了，看一下，你是哪一个？两轮是这个吗？这个是吧？小屁呀？对。小屁呀？叫小屁呀？就是我认识个屁。别笑。这是你的名字啊？那我们去过火锅吃啊。你去哪里？
啊？
你去哪里？
四角。
都好，我们去白月广场啊。
不去了，要回去了，很晚了。
好了，可以啊，那。
明天还要上班呢。
好了，你什么时候不上班呢？别想，什么时候不上班了啊？告诉我。告诉老外。
周末啊。
周末。那好了，周末一起吃饭啊。好不好？你喜欢什么东西？别想了。你喜欢什么东西呀？你喜欢吃什么东西呀？你喜欢吃什么东西？
都可以。
说。
好。
我听不到。你喜欢吃什么好东西啊？
都可以。
都可以啊。好了，我带你去兰州那边。然后我们再说套马杆呢。对呀，别笑哦，我不好意思。你看，我不好意思，你笑我。你看，都在笑我。你看，对了，我会想有命的啊。小屁呀！你在上班的时候，小屁过来。对，应该是打屁的。对了，我们要严肃一点啊，所以说周末的时候你要再记得我啊，因为我很孤独的啊，没有朋友们的啊。
不会吧？
没有，我那么也是，你看这个连载是最帅的连载啊！我要去那边啊，再见介绍啊。你好靚女啊！你好去邊度啊？很好，你英文很好的，应该也要找我，找老外。你好靚女，你好，是意大利的，意大利水的。这听过了，太多次了啊！哪里的？不大，我太老，青年啊，没去过啊，年纪太大了啊，我就那边。2天合在我这边，对呀，你也这边是吧？加微信，自己来啊，可以加了啊。我叫阳光啊。你还记得意大利面的那种啊？比如说你看到意大利面。看到这个是吧啊？因为我年纪太大了，我不知道怎么用手机啊。我们老人不会的，什么都不会的啊。拜拜啊，再聊啊。